Oh, also disclaimer, I pronounce it Gifs, so let's not debate how to pronounce Gifs. Hello, hi, what's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I asked you guys on the community tab of my channel what video you wanted to see, and you all voted on a GIF tutorial in Procreate. So today I am going to show you kind of how I use GIFs throughout my videos, these little pop-up and wiggly text. Before we jump into the tutorial, I wanted you all to know that I am selling merch now, so don't forget to check out the store as well on my channel or linked down below. I have released some really cool t-shirts as well as a sticker about the Apple Pencil that I think you all really love. I'm so excited for my stuff to come in. So just wanted to let you all know about that. But let's go ahead and hop on over to my iPad and start making some GIFs. Okay, so I'm going to start by obviously opening up Procreate, and I'm going to go up here to the plus button and then choose my canvas size. Now for creating GIFs, especially in my YouTube videos at least, I typically use the square canvas, and I typically use the square canvas unless I need a specific canvas size. So I'm just going to click the square canvas. I typically like to have kind of like a white text as my GIF color, and so I normally turn off the background and I have a white color selected. I really like using the dry ink brush in Procreate as well as the monoline brush. Those are probably my two favorite Procreate brushes and the two that I turn to the most. I actually created a favorites brush library where I kind of copied and pasted some of my favorite brushes to use and the brushes that I turn to the most. So some of the brushes in here are already in the Procreate app, and then other ones I either imported, purchased, or got for free off different websites. And so this is kind of like my favorite brush category. So a lot of times I will use the dry ink, especially for the GIFs in my videos. So we'll select that one. I really like this brush because it is pressure sensitive, but it's not overly pressure sensitive. So the harder I press on my iPad, the thicker the brush stroke will come out, and the lighter I write, the lighter the stroke will come out. Whereas if I want a more consistent brush pattern, I'll turn to monoline, and it doesn't matter how hard I press on my iPad or how lightly I press, I still have the same stroke. So I'll turn to that brush if I want something a little more consistent. But I'm going to use the dry ink today, and I'll actually make a gift that I want to include in my videos. I want to make sure to remind you all to chat with me in the comments, and so I'm going to make a gift related to that today. A lot of times in my GIFs, I will use stationary text and then make one part of the GIF kind of move or wiggle, and so I think that's something that I'm going to do today. So I want to remind you all to chat with me in the comments, so I think I'm going to say something like chat with me in the comments, like super straightforward. So I'm going to add text for the stationary part. So let's look for some fonts that I like. So you can download, I like this. You can download free fonts off of the website called defont.com. There's a few other websites, and I'll try to link some in the description below. I also have a video already out on my channel on how to install custom fonts on your iPad, so if you don't already know, I'll make sure to link that tutorial down below as well. Okay, chat with me in the comments. I'm going to move this layer up. So I could write just in my own handwriting comments, but I think I want to trace kind of like a cursive font. So I'm going to put comments and resize, edit. Looks good. It's a little bit. Okay. Just stylizing the font. Okay, so now I'm going to move this blank layer over comments, and I'm actually going to turn the opacity down on the comments layer just because I'm going to trace this so I can use the same cursive. Testing the thickness of my brush stroke. I think that's good. And then I'm just going to, then I'm just going to trace this font. Okay, so now with that, I'm just going to delete that layer. Alright, so now I have the text layer, the layer that I want stationary, and then my traced layer that I want to wiggle. And so now that I have that, I'm actually going to duplicate the text layer and move it above the comments layer, and then duplicate the handwritten comments layer. And now I'm going to turn the opacity down on this layer, and I'm going to make sure that I deselect the first two layers so I can actually see the opacity of the second. So now that I have turned down the opacity of that layer, I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm just going to trace out the word comments again. And you don't want to trace it perfectly, and it's okay if it's not traced perfectly because that's what's going to make it wiggle. So I'm just going to go in and trace this again. If you're interested in hand lettering on the iPad, tracing cursive fonts will help you understand the strokes, when to lighten and when to darken your strokes. If you're interested in practicing hand lettering, at least this is something that I found super useful for me, just because as someone who kind of writes with the same pressure throughout her words, it's really difficult for me to be conscious about applying more pressure or applying less pressure when hand lettering, so I found this really helpful. Okay, so now that I have traced out the word comments, I'm actually going to delete this original layer. So I have my newer, recently traced comments there. And so now I have two layers, and I'm actually, so the only reason why I'm not merging these two layers is because, again, I want just the comments to wiggle. But this is basically 2 frames, and I recommend for GIFs at least doing 4 or 5. The more frames you do, the more seamless the GIF will look. But because I like mine to be kind of sketchy looking, I usually do 4 or 5. So now that I'm done with that layer, I'm going to duplicate my text layer again and move it above this one. And then duplicate my comments layer, move it above this one. I'm going to deselect the last 2 layers. And I'm going to turn the opacity of this layer down again. Add a new layer, and I'm going to trace the same. Okay, so now I have that layer done. And I'm going to bring up the opacity back and deselect those and delete this layer. So I'm going to duplicate this layer, duplicate my comments layer, move that up, deselect, and add a new layer, lower the opacity, and repeat. Okay, so I'm going to go in and merge all of my layers down. So now I have all of my text merged with my handwritten part in these 4 different frames. So now I'm going to go over to my wrench icon. I'm going to go down to share layers and hit this animated gift option. And then it will give you a preview of your GIFs. You can also go in and edit the frames per rate, the transparent background, the threshold of the GIF. And so this is something that I am happy with. I don't know if you guys can see that really well since I did use a white text, but then I usually leave it at max resolution. I usually leave all of the settings alone. I'm usually okay with the frame rate. That's really the only thing I change if I change anything. But I'm going to leave it as is because I'm pretty pleased with this. So I'm going to click export. And then I'm going to save the image to the photos on my iPad. So let's go check out what the GIF looks like in the photos so you can have a better view of it. And so there's the GIF. And because it is transparent, I can pull it over my videos and you all can see the lovely GIFs that I create. So this is one that I've been wanting to include in my videos. So that is something I guess you'll see throughout my videos that we created together. I want to show you how to make another style GIF in this video, and this kind of GIF is kind of like the erasing effect or the creation effect. So I'm going to go into a new square canvas and I'm going to do this effect with a rainbow, I think. So I turned off the background because I want my transparent background in case I want to pull this over a video. So I'm just going to go in and use a color palette I like. I'm still going to use the dry ink brush for this one, and I'm just going to go in and draw a rainbow. Okay, so now that I have my little simplistic rainbow, I am going to show you kind of how you can make it look like it is moving. So this is going to be my first layer. I'm actually going to scroll over and duplicate this layer. And then I'm actually going to use my eraser tool for this. The eraser I'm using is the monoline brush. And then I'm just going to deselect this layer so I can see what I'm doing first. I always make that mistake. And then I'm going to erase part of the rainbow. Then I'm going to duplicate that layer, turn off that layer so I can see what I'm doing on the top layer, and then erase more of the rainbow. Duplicate, turn off, grab my eraser tool and erase. Duplicate, turn off, grab my eraser tool and more erasing. And I'm just going to keep doing this until I get more towards the center of my rainbow. This one will just have a little bit more frame. Alright, so now that I am finished with that part, I'm going to select all the layers, go to my wrench, hit animated GIF, and now it looks like my rainbow is disappearing. If you wanted it to look like it was reappearing, you can export it and using editing programs reverse the clip, but I'm actually just going to reverse it in Procreate. So I am going in and I'm actually just going to move all of my layers and reorder them. There's honestly probably a better way to do this, but we're doing it this way. Alright, so now I have my rainbow reordered, and so now we can see it grow the other way. And then we'll export and save to camera roll. And then we have our rainbow. So there you have it. There was 2 different ways for you to create GIFs in this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, obviously I'll be trying to answer any that you have in the comments down below. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you haven't already. It really does help me out, and I truly appreciate it. Until next time.